Hey bookwormies, welcome back to my channel and welcome back for today's video. Today we are finally doing my September wrap-up. September was an interesting month because I had books I really didn't like and I had books I seemingly enjoyed. So this time we're going to talk about them. Okay, we started off strong by finishing a series, which was the Chestnut Spring series, and I read Hopeless. I gave this book 4 stars. I remember I was kind of excited for this couple, but I was just like, it's okay. I don't know. I feel like this whole Chestnut Spring series was like a 4 stars, but at the same time, I didn't care for it, so maybe even a 3. I don't know. I rated them all 4 because I got through them really, really fast and easy, and I didn't have to put much brain power into it, which at that point in time, September was a no brain power month. And so that's kind of what was going on. So yeah, I got through Hopeless. It was enjoyable. I didn't feel much towards it. Did I care potentially about the couple? Not that much. Surprisingly, not that much. Wait, this is about Bew, right? If I'm right, yeah. So the last book in the series, which is book 5, the Chestnut Spring series, it's about Bew Eaton and Bailey Jansen. And so we go through that. So pretty much just so you know, the whole Chestnut Spring series is mainly about the Eden brothers, plus one other dude, but he pretty much is in Eden. Okay, but yeah. So there's that. Any thoughts, feelings whatsoever? None in my head. I'll tell you guys, nothing. Next, I read Bury Our Bones in Midnight Soil. Guys, I don't know what is going on, but I just couldn't get into V. Schwab. This book, I was enjoying it at the start, but then I lost interest. I feel like it could have been more my fault than the book's fault, because I feel like I could have really enjoyed it, but it fell flat for me, and I was reading it for 6 to 8 days straight, but I couldn't feel myself getting through it. I was audiobooking, I was just I'm not feeling it at all. If you asked me to tell you what it was about, I could not tell you much, but I'll give you guys a short idea of what it is, because I feel like I should at least tell you something. So, pretty much, Bury Our Bones is set in 3 different times. First, we have 1532, Santo Domingo de la Calzada, which is where a young girl grows up wild and willy. Her beauty is only outmatched by her dreams of escape, but Maria knows she can only ever be a prize or a pawn in the games played by men. And so when she gets an offer for an alternate path by a random stranger, she takes it. And she vows to never have no regrets. Okay. Then we have 1827, London, and this is about a young woman, and she lives an idyllic but cloistered life on her family's estate until a moment of forbidden intimacy sees her shipped off to London, and she just leaves. And this is about Charlotte, okay, and her heart and seemingly impossible wishes has swept her by an invitation from a beautiful widow, but the price of freedom is greater than she could have ever imagined. Okay. Then the third one is 2019, Boston, and this one is about college, and this was finally the time for Alice to find someone new, to meet people. That's why she moved halfway across the country, leaving her old life behind. But after a out-of-character one-night stand leaves her questioning her past, her present, and her future, she throws herself into the hunt for answers and revenge. So this is pretty much a story about life of 3 different women and how it ends and how it starts. Okay, there's vampires. It's a fantasy. It's that kind of vibe. Okay, I gave it 3 stars. I fear I could have really enjoyed it, but I didn't, and that kind of annoyed me, honestly. Secretly, yes, that kind of annoyed me. Next, I decided, let's continue into fantasies. Maybe what I need is a different fantasy. And I read Heavenly Bodies. Heavenly Bodies was actually a really interesting story. I really enjoyed it. I've been seeing it from time to time on the internet. It's not one of those super popular book talk books, but if you go into the depth, you find it. But pretty much, this is where this is set in a world where there are no entities but stars, okay? So these are pretty much cruel gods that watch over the world, okay? And then there's this girl named Alara who has been cursed by fate, and that there's a prophecy that promises that she will fall for a star and it will kill them both. So she's like, no way. And then something happens, and things happen in her kingdom, okay? And she's forced to flee into the arms of her enemy in the neighboring country. And as she learns about her own magic and the depths of the star's deceit, she also finds herself learning more about the country she's forced to take refuge in, and the enemy prince forced to train her into a weapon, okay? And so we also learn about her powers, because there's something brewing underneath in that girl. And this is a fantasy romance. Enemies to lovers, but I don't know how enemies that was, but I really enjoyed the story. It was so fun. It was just it had romance, it had tension, it had yearning, and like I really liked how there was like in this world there were stars, there were the gods, they were the best, and there were like fates and everything, and then there was a prophecy, which I like. Not always do our prophecies done amazingly, but in this case it was done pretty well, and I really enjoyed it how it was created. There is also a second book and a third, I think, right? This is a trilogy. I don't know if I'm going to continue it because I feel like the first book, I feel like it could have just ended. I don't know. I didn't really like the ending. The ending kind of was like, well, I think I was okay with it, but I just wasn't really into it. The idea of continuing. Oh, yes, I remember. Yeah, but I just didn't really like how it ended, so I was just like, I'm good. So I don't know, but I still have it in my want to read list, the second book, which is Fallen Stars, but I don't know if I'll read it. But Heavenly Bodies, I rated 4 stars. It was pretty good for fantasy romance. It was enjoyable. As soon as I got to like a certain extent, after I really learned about the world, I was really eating it up, and I really enjoyed the romance. It was really sweet, it was cute, it was everything I needed. Next, I decided to read Immortal Dark, which is like a vampire dark fantasy story. I think I remember. I did not enjoy this personally. This is like, I had a high, a low kind of like idea. And I go back to 3 stars because Immortal Dark, I just couldn't get into it. I don't know what was in it, but I just couldn't enjoy it. It is a romantic dark academia fantasy. And I was like, dark academia, I want a dark academia. Read this book, didn't feel it. I audiobooked it halfway. I was just, no. So let me explain what it is about. So it is about like a lost heiress who needs to infiltrate an arcane society and live with a vampire she suspects killed her family and kidnapped her sister, okay? And so this happens. This is about like Kidan Adain, where she grew up far from the arcane society she was born into, where human bloodlines gain power through vampire companionship. And when her sister June disappears, she's convinced the vampire stole her. Okay, the very vampire that bound to their family. And that is Susenyos Sagad. And then that stuff, okay? So she tries to get into this university and all of that. And like, I felt like the vibes were there. I felt like I could have really gotten into it, but I just couldn't. I was enjoying the characters, and I just couldn't really enjoy what was going on. I was just like, not getting it. So this was a flop, 3 stars, as I said. Couldn't really feel it. And then I remembered I watched Larry's vlog of where her mom picks her reads. And she talked about this one romance, because she was mainly reading dark romances, but she had a little break for this one. And that was a Heartache and Hope duet, okay? And I decided to read both of those books back to back to back to back. Back to back, technically, because there's only 2 of them. But I first read Heartache and Hope, and I gave it 3.75 stars. It was actually pretty good. I enjoyed it. Like, even though I rated it only 3.75, you're like, what? But it was so sweet. I feel like their love was, like, kind of like puppy love. Not really puppy love, but, like, it was cute, and it was fun. And, like, I get, because I think Larry said that she kind of, like, sees Johnny and Shannon in them. And I see that. At least I see it a bit. I don't even remember if she actually said that, or maybe she said about another book, because in here, everything is jumbled, so don't believe everything I say. But Heartache and Hope is a sweet, sweet story. And there's heartache in here. There's, like, things that happen that I'm just like, oh, why? Why do you? Why? But I just loved it, and it just, okay. And this is pretty much about Ava Diaz and Connor Ledge. Connor Ledger, he plays, what does he play? Fuck, guys, I forgot what he plays, what sport he plays. But, yes, it's a sports romance. Let me check it out. Does somebody say what sport he plays? Because I cannot think for the life of me what he is. Yeah, basketball. There it is. And he's on a scholarship, okay? So he's, like, really trying to get into it. And there's, like, all this stuff that goes on. There were a few parts where I was just like, why? But then at the same time, I really enjoyed the story. And I really liked the plot. It was so fun. It was so cute. It was just perfectly when I needed it in a moment. And I didn't even notice I finished it until I decided, let's read First and Forever, which is the second book in the duet and the last one. And this one, I gave 4.25 stars. It was so good. I loved how it's just, like, a slow way back into from the first book to the second book. It was just, like, perfect. I didn't see any really big mishaps, and it was such a cute story for what it was. I'm not saying it was perfect. I'm not saying it's a 5-star read, but I did really, really enjoy it, and I really liked the plot and how everything moved along. I loved the couple. They were both so sweet, and I loved the mother. I really liked her. And a lot of these characters were just so fun to read about. Okay, and then next I decided, let's continue with romance, because that is what I'm in the mood for. I can't see myself reading anything else. So I decided to get into the Deal, which is part of that series. Wait, give me a second to think of the series. I can think of it. Just give me 1 second. I forgot the name of the series. But it is by L. Kennedy. It's the Off-Campus series. So this is a pretty popular series. I've seen it all around, like, the book world, for like a few years. And I've always been like interested, and I actually started The Deal a long time ago, but then I got into a different book, so I just never got back to reading it, and I remembered a tiny bit about it. But the first book is about Garrett and Hannah, and this is such a sweet, easy book. It was so easy for me to read it. I just loved it, and it was just so fun. And this whole series just was so quick to read. The first book I gave it 4 stars. The Deal was pretty good. And then the second book, The Mistake, I gave 3.75 because it was also pretty good, but I just didn't care about it as much as the first book. I don't remember which one. The second one was about John Logan and Grace Cybers. And this was also a very fun one, but like the way that this kind of starts was just like a bit like, But I really enjoyed it still, and it was really fun, and it was just interesting to read. And I also really enjoyed this one. It was also a very sweet couple, and I love seeing Garrett and Hannah from The Deal. That was so fun. And then I read The Score, which is the third book, which is between, give me a second, guys, to remember who is this between. This is between Ali Hayes and Dean De Laurentiis. And I actually really like his last name. I don't know why. Like, I like his name, Dean De Laurentiis. I don't know. I think he said something about some Spanish roots, but I might be wrong. Could be severely wrong. But I really liked this story, too. It was just such a sweet one, too. I don't know. I feel like maybe I did like the second book more than the third. I don't know, guys. I don't know. These ratings are very all over, but I really enjoyed the Score, too. It was such a fun one. And it's like also like how you see people differently and all of that. I really liked the start of it. It was just such a fun one. Then I read A Deadly Education, and I decided to get out of the romance and read another fantasy because clearly I don't have enough. And I gave this book 2.75. Because I felt like I wanted to give it a 3, but I was like, that's kind of too soft. But I didn't want to give it a 2, so 2.75. I couldn't get into this book so badly. I audiobooked it fully. That's how I got through it in like not a long time, but also it was kind of short. I just couldn't feel myself in it. I don't remember anything about it. What is it about? But I got through it. If that says something, which that doesn't say much. It is also academia based, which I was like, I need something where the characters are in like some sort of place and like studying and all that. Instead of a school, man, I just couldn't get into it. Couldn't at all. But it's pretty much a school for the magically gifted, where failure means a certain death. Until one girl, Elle, begins to unlock its secrets inside. There are no teachers, no holidays, and no friendships, save strategic ones. Survival is more important than any letter grade, for the school will not allow the students to leave until they graduate or die. So I was like, oh my god, this sounds perfect. And then the rules are very simple. Don't let the halls alone, and beware of the monsters who lurk everywhere. So I was just like, this sounds so perfect, but I just couldn't for the life of me enjoy it at all. I couldn't. And I'm so mad that I didn't enjoy this book. Like, I feel like I could have. But I don't know what was going on, but the fantasies were falling flat every time I was reading them. Except for Heavenly Bodies in September. Everything fell flat in fantasy section. Literally. And then next, I found out the author of Butcher and Blackbird, that whole Ruinous Love trilogy, she is starting a new series, a new trilogy. And I was like, let me hear what it's about, because I just saw it and the name was so intriguing, Tourist Season. Okay, and this book, it actually sounds so fun, and I read it, and I also really liked it. It was actually like this book, I was like, oh my god, this is so interesting. It is pretty much, the series is called the Seasons of Carnage trilogy. This is set in Cape Carnage, okay? It is a seaside town, which is like quirky shops and everything, and they have an unusually high body count. A lot of people die there, and that's kind of what the shops are like. That's why they have such quirky shops, because he decided to, like, the way that tourists will go into it is like, if it's like fun, like it's like funny, like, oh yes, when people died here, but it's just a myth, stuff like that. So it was really fun. But with tourists come trouble, okay? And we have the main character, Harper Starling, and she's a skilled gardener with killer instincts. Literally killer. And she protects her sanctuary at any cost, especially for an aging mentor with a fading memory, okay? And then we have a new tourist, Nolan Rhodes. And he isn't our average one. He is devilishly handsome, disarmingly charming, and skilled with a blade. He is relentless in the pursuit for revenge. On every anniversary of the hit-and-run accident that fractured his life, he slays another target. And he saved the best for last, the undeniably beautiful Harper Starling. So he's gonna try to kill her. And Harper Starling's like, anybody coming into my town and trying to destroy the peace, you're dead to me. Okay, but there's a problem. Harper isn't the monster he expected, and she won't go down without a fight. And then when an amateur true crime investigator comes to Cape Carnage on the trail of a long-lost serial killer, they have to strike an uneasy truce. and if no one helps Harper protect her town, she'll keep quiet about his hunting habits for now. Their alliance soon spirals into something else that threatens to shatter every secret in Carnage, including their fragile love. And this is such a fun, like dark but exciting book. And if you know Brian Weaver, she is unapologetically funny in her books. If you read the Ruinous Love trilogy, it is funny, it is quirky, even if it's about serial killers, it's still funny. I have only read the first book, and I DNF'd the second book because I couldn't really get into it, and I never read the third one. But from the first book, even just Butcher Blackbird was so funny. It was a dark romance, but it was still so funny to read about these serial killers. And this is no different. But this has a thriller aspect to it, but it is still dark romance with it. And actually, this book ends with a cliffhanger. So in the end, you're stuck with finding out something crazy, but then nothing completes. Because I was reading this book and I was like, how are we going to end this book? We're 80% into it and we still have no idea about all these different secrets that are going on. And so I was like, is this supposed to end? And then afterwards, I looked around and it was like, this whole series is going to be about this one couple and this one mystery. Big mystery. So just so you know, before starting this is the first book. It just came out a few days ago. You're going to have to wait with me until we get the ending. But I really, really enjoyed this book. This was how much did I rate? 4.5? Oh, 4 stars. But it was such a fun read. It was so quirky. It was so easy to read. I was like, oh my god, I'm flying through this. And it was so fun. Honestly, guys, I totally recommend you read this. It is quirky, so don't expect anything serious out of the thrillerness. But it was just so fun, and it's the dark romance is kind of also a sweet, bitter thing. So I really, really enjoyed this book. Honestly, it was probably one of the best books in September I read. Literally. I think probably my 2 favorite is maybe Heavenly Bodies and Tour Season, or First and Forever and Tour Season. Yeah, but Tour Season is up there. Next, I read The Goal, and that is the final book I read actually in September. And this is the 4th book in the whole off-campus series, okay? This is between Sabrina James and John Tucker, okay? But everybody calls him Tucker, okay? So there's that. And we read this book. And I actually really enjoyed this, but there were a few sections where I was just like, oh, no. So that's why I didn't get it 5 stars. I really enjoyed it. It was fun. It was easy to read, too. It was just, such a quick read. But there were just these tiny moments where I was just no. But I really enjoyed it. It was fun to read. It was easy. It was quick. And personally, it was a great read. Since then, I finished another book. And now I'm reading a different one. But I feel like I should tell you guys what I'm reading now, even though it's the second book of October, but whatever, it's fine. You guys won't tell, right? Don't kiss and tell. Pretty much the next book I'm reading is the Book of Azrael. This book I've been putting off since forever, so I finally decided to start it, guys. I'm scared. I'm actually halfway through the book, really enjoying it so far. I'm not gonna say anything else, because if I say anything else, there just won't be a secret anymore. And you guys just have to wait for the vlogs where I talk about it, or even just a reading wrap-up. So yeah, anyways, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Comment down below what you guys have read in September. Any interesting reads, any recommendations, anything like that. And also, do you have any specific reads, fall or Halloween-y books for October? Anyways, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Bye!